So the actual seminar, which I normally give at least once a month in times before Corona, this seminar is called Labyrinth of Nutrition of Nutrients, because there is so much wrong information about nutrients put all over that a couple of years I decided I have to give some decent information about nutrients. And normally, if somebody's talking about nutrients, there are many statements. You need 10 milligram of iron, 15 milligram of zinc, and XYZ milligram of vitamin E and something like that. And so I designed my seminar not to claim anything, to give any statements, but my aim is that people understand the story. So any fool can know it. The point is to understand. Yeah. So you don't get something, just statements from me, but my aim is that you guys understand. Some ages before, some centuries before, there was a special sentence, a special spell when Europe started to develop, and this was called sapere aude. So have the courage to think yourself. So you need some courage to think by yourself. And so this is now again a start. So I think we have to have the courage to think by ourselves. Very popular magazine here in Germany a couple of years ago put the cover story, "The Lie of the Vitamins." And it's a magazine like the magazine of Newsweek or something like that. So quite popular. The billion-dollar business with unnecessary pills, with unnecessary vitamins. And vitamin E was denoted as the vitamin euro or the vitamin dollar. So it's just about making money. But with vitamin, it's just more not to make money. So millions of Germans take vitamins and nutrition supplements because they think to improve their health. But in many cases, studies show that in the long term, it doesn't take your health, doesn't give your health a favor. So it damages your health. Which,
so Andreas,
yes,
as far as vitamins or taking those kinds of supplements, would you say that our body only absorbs maybe 5-10%, and the rest goes and clogs up our liver and our kidneys?
Yes, there are stories told like that. Yeah, but you cannot generalize that. Yeah. If so, our intestine is intelligent. So if the cells of your intestine gets aware there's a nutrient that you really need in a modification that suits your body, then your intestine says, yes, I take it. Yeah. So you cannot make this generalization. Yes, some supplements are just going through and out. Yeah. And it depends on their size and their modification, on their bioavailability. And you have to take this in account that those nutrients have different bioavailabilities. And if you really understand the stuff, you can design those nutrients for optimum bioavailability. It's about a study published in American of Medical Association, and they talk about a very bad outcome result of a study, which was done in, I think, 2011, and 35,000 healthy older men, yeah, were involved in this study, and they get a vitamin or a placebo. And they stated that nor the vitamin nor the trace element selene, which they took, had a good result on cancer of the prostata. So in the group where they get the vitamin E, 620 guys get sick by prostate cancer. And in the group where they just got the placebo, 529 men get cancer. So they interpreted that also vitamin can harm your health. So I then looked in the original study, vitamin E and the risk of prostate cancer, the selenium and vitamin E cancer prevention trial. So indeed, 25,533 men at 427 study sites. That means 427 medical doctors were involved in the study. So it's a really big study, and it was over, I think, 6.5 years. So it was a long-term study. And the conclusion of the study, to make a long story short, dietary supplementation with vitamin E significantly increases the risk of prostate cancer among healthy men. And as a scientist, I know that this conclusion is very open to interpretation. Yeah. And in the first place, I look on the design of the study. And the design of the study was they get oral selenium and vitamin E and placebo. And of vitamin E, you get 400 international units per day of Ursprunc alpha tocopherol acetate. Do you know what's Ursprunc alpha tocopherol acetate? No. And most people don't know that. Do you know what this wording, this preface, Ursprunc, do you know what that means, or what it could mean? So Ursprunc stands for racemic, yes, and now it becomes a little bit chemical, but don't be afraid of that. I explain you the structure of this vitamin E molecule. When there is an edge, the chemist is too lazy to denote C for carbon. So this peak means there's a C atom, yes? And normally a carbon atom has 4 neighbors. You might recall chemistry, your chemistry lesson at school was some years ago. You had chemistry in school, is it? No? You just said no chemistry in school. Really? So I think every German has chemistry in school. Okay.
I did have chemistry, but I don't know if I passed or not.
Okay. So the point is here, a carbon atom has normally 4 neighbors. Yes? So if my hand, the palm of my hand is a carbon atom, you have 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 neighbors. Yeah. So my hand, the palm of my hand looks like a carbon atom. And when you have 4 different neighbors, you have a mirror image. Yes. My left hand mirrors my right hand, but they are not the same. If you try to overlay them, you state that my index finger and my middle finger, you have to break them around to copy it. Yes. So my left hand and my right hand have different 3D structures. Yes. So now the point. This carbon atom has 4 different neighbors. This one, a methyl group, and this long rest. This carbon atom has just 3 neighbors denoted 1, 2, and 3. And when a carbon atom is denoted only with 3 neighbors, the 4th neighbor is left away. That means here is a hydrogen atom. So it has 4 neighbors, but number 4 is not denoted. And here it's the same. Number 4 is not denoted. The important thing is now nature exactly defines the 3D structure of a vitamin because it's biological active. And you need the natural design 3D structure of a vitamin to be beneficial in your body. It just works like nature structured it. But when a chemist is producing that, when a chemist is synthesizing this molecule, yeah, he synthesizes 2 different orientations, 3D orientations, a left and a right orientation, picture and the mirror picture, the mirror image. Here's the same. A chemist, when he produces it in a chemical factory, he makes 2 different 3D structures here, here, and here. So in chemistry, when you want to produce it, you make 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8 different molecule structures, 8 different 3D structures. So nature only does 1. Yes? That means when this is produced by a chemist, there's from 8 parts, just 1 part, the right structure, and 7 times the wrong structure. Yes? And the mirror structure of the right structure might be very toxic. You ever heard of a molecule called, or pharmaceutical called Contergan? So this is a molecule, a pharmaceutical used in the 60s as a tranquilizer for women, also for pregnant women. And you have the original molecule and the mirror image. And at the end of the day, it was proven that this was extremely toxic. Yes, so children were born with no legs or no arms. This happened here in Germany, in Austria. It was a catastrophe. It was a huge catastrophe. And the reason was this wrong mirror image of pharmaceutical. So we learned that also in school here. We know it. We learned it at high school, at university, at college, that the mirror image might be extremely toxic. Mm-hmm. So, and also the long-term damage, yeah, was brutal. Yes, and just because the wrong 3D structure. Yeah, and now you make a study. This all rack means you always have the mirror image. Yeah, so what they did not make a study with the real natural vitamin E, but they did the study with at most, yeah, with 7 of 8 parts the wrong vitamin E, the toxic vitamin E. And now they claimed in this study that vitamin E damages your health. That's a fraud. Yes? So they did not inform the public what they really did. Only some chemists really understand what they did when they design a study with all rock vitamin E, which isn't vitamin E at all. So they make a study with a toxin, but don't tell the people it's a toxin. Yeah? And there is no medical doctor or chemist going public and, are you crazy? What are you doing? That was a long-term study with 35,000 people, and you poisoned them by purpose. So when I saw the study, I know in the first place, after 1 minute where I looked on the study design, that this is a fraud. And it seems they just wanted to get this statement out. Dietary supplement with vitamin E significantly increases the risk of prostate cancer among healthy men. So this was the message they want to bring out. But this is a fraud. And this is the most serious news magazine here in Germany. And even JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association, is a very serious journal. But the design of the study was a fraud in the first place. And this is the way how the people get pushed in the wrong direction. And it did not last in this journal. We call it in German der Spiegel, the mirror, something like that. So it goes all over the TV networks. This was, we call it in German, the second program, or the second channel. This is the first channel. The truth about vitamins. So vitamin pills are unnecessary and in many cases damage your health. Then there's another magazine. It's called Der Focus. enhanced risk of cancer. Who takes vitamin pills dies earlier. So this is a quality, our quality press is communicating. So who do you think is responsible for this fraud news? And there's a guy responsible in this area of technology and health. Yeah, it's a scientific advisor, the scientific journalist. Yeah, and I had the privilege to get known to one of those guys who's doing that. It's called here in Germany. In some ways, he's quite good known. It's called Erwin Jucic, and he leaded the scientific branch of the focus. And the interesting thing about this guy, after that, after he ended his career in journalism, he get to the investment area, where it goes all about money. And do you think when somebody really means it serious? Yes. So when he writes about something, or when he invests his money, his own money, when do you believe? Do you believe a guy who writes something, or do you believe a guy who put down his money on the table? Yeah, when he put down his money on the table. And this is the guy, and this is his signature. So he signed a contract with myself. This is my signature, this is his signature. And I started up a company who designs nutrients with very high bioavailability. So I invented a technology to increase the bioavailability of special nutrients. Yes. And this guy gave me 400,000 euro. At the end of the day, it was about 150,000 euro. Here you see first payment of 40,000 euro. And he invested 40,000 euro in 1% of the shares. So it was just an idea. There was nothing on the table, just an idea. And this guy invested 40,000 euros of his own money for 1% of the shares of this company, of this new startup company. So here you see he really means it. Yeah. In the other way, he just writes it. Yeah. So there is a very, how you call it, a not very serious study. And then you highlight it into the mass media. Yeah. And then you make a generalization. It's not the wrong vitamin E which damages health. It's all nutrition supplements which damage your health or are unnecessary. So it's like a birthday trick. You know, you have this birthday game where you whisper something in someone's ear, and this promulgates. And at the end of the day, at the end of the row, something totally different from which was initially communicated comes out. It's like a birthday game, yeah. And so I'm coming from the state of Hessen, yeah. I think it's Hessia. So we have a very special humor here in Germany, and so if the mainstream media do not put valuable information on the desk, yeah, so I started my own journal. And this is called in Germany Spichel. So it's a slang, yeah, it's a German slang for a real journal, I would say. It's about phosphor. Phosphor fertilizer, the mega killer in our nutrition. The number one reason for German people to die is now identified. You know, this is a blood vessel, yeah? And if a blood vessel gets blocked, at the end of the day, this is a reason, this is a cause for many, many illnesses. And at the end of the day, the terminal illness. And many people think this is calcified, a calcified blood vessel. So in technology, we talk about extracellular matrix. Yeah. And so this is a cause number one of death in the Western world, also in the United States. And do you know what is causing this calcification of our blood vessel or the production of this extracellular matrix? Do you have an idea about that? This is the number one cause of death. Yeah.
Stress?
No.
In the blood vessel.
You may have a heart attack, a stroke. So, but at the end of the day, this is the reason of that. And so it's very valuable for you guys to understand what is the cause of this blockage of our blood cells. And there was a brilliant study made in Japan by Shigematsu et al. In 2003. And what in the medical community is acknowledged, what they know is that the cells on the inner side of the blood vessels called epithelial cells, they are producing this. So it's not something which just stick to the wall, but the cells itself are producing this. Yeah? And they know a couple of sick people with problems in their, I don't get it at the moment. So there's a special illness. They produce this extracellular matrix. It's called in German Niereninsuffizienzpatienten. What's called Niere? Heidi, just help me.
Kidney.
Sorry, sure. So patients with bad working kidney are producing this extracellular matrix in a higher extent. And Shigematsu et al. Just took the cells from the lining, from the inner lining of this blood vessels, who produce this extracellular cellular matrix, and make a couple of trials. He wants to identify what is triggering these cells to produce suicide. And this extracellular matrix, there's a lot of calcium. Yes, and so we call it a calcification of this blood vessel. But the question is calcium the trigger to produce extracellular matrix, or is it something else? And they made a special trick. They feeded those cells with radioactive marked or radioactive calcium. So a special part of the calcium they feeded the cells with was radioactive. And by getting this radioactive calcium, you are able to determine extremely exact, in a very fine mode, how much calcium was taken in, just by measure the radioactivity. And when you feed the cells with calcium, and here is the growth, the rate of growth of extracellular matrix, and you see here no really correlation. When you feed those cells with calcium, but you see a perfect correlation if you feed the cells with phosphorus, with phosphate. And this means, this is a very clear proof that the phosphorus extent, or that the high phosphorus concentration in our food is the cause of cardiovascular diseases. So if you understand that, it's clear that we have to reduce the amount of phosphorus in our food, in our dietary patterns. So we have to decrease the phosphorus amount. This is a perfect study. And this study isn't published anywhere. So you really have to be a scientist who digs deep in literature to get to find the study. But this study actually has to be published everywhere, because many people would be saved, could be saved, if this information would go out. But this information is hidden. So another cover story of my Spiegel is, help me, we are criminalized. Our government prohibits a nutrient which would protect us for suicide, for homicide and rape. But normal people don't know what the special nutrient is. This nutrient is allowed in the United States, but it is forbidden in Germany and in Europe. So you guys in the United States have more possibilities to have good nutrition. So you have a much larger score of nutrients that you can buy. So here in Germany, here in Europe, there are many essential nutrients which are prohibited, which are illegal to consume. And it's called a trace element, lithium. And there was a study performed in Texas, in 27 counties, between 1978 and 1987. The lithium content of your tap water was so the lithium content of the tap water and the criminal rate in the public was put in compare. And if you just have a look on the data, so those were the counties with a high amount of lithium, between 70 and 160 microgram per liter lithium. And here you have the counties with low lithium, between 0 and 12 microgram. And if you compare the rate of homicide per 10,000, you have 7.5 to 16.9. So the rate of homicide is doubled in those counties with low lithium in your tap water. Here's suicide, 8.7 compared to 14.2. It's nearly doubled. Rape, 28.3 compared to 58.8. Robbery, 110 compared to 264. So the criminal rate doubles if you have a too low lithium content in your tap water. Did you know that in the first place? Have you ever heard about that?
That if the lithium is low?
Yes, you have the double number of criminal offense. So
how does that relate to the water?
Yes, it's the lithium content in the tap water. So when the lithium content is very low, you have doubled the homicide rate, doubled the suicide rate, doubled the rate of rapes. And this information you have to dig into literature. But you will not find it in mainstream magazines or mainstream journals. And this information is quite secret. It's not published. So I was here in Germany, in Europe, the first guy who published that, who gave interviews about that. But this is just the peak of an how do you call it, mountain of ice. Yes. So we need lithium to produce serotonin, so happiness hormones. Yes. If you have a lack of lithium, you have a lack of happiness hormones. You have a lack of serotonin. And it's not just criminal offenses, but the way how you feel, if you feel high or depressed, this is influenced by lithium. Yeah. And so you have a lack of happiness hormones. Yes. And the next question is, how many partnerships break down because of lithium deficiency? How many divorces were induced by lithium deficiency? How many friendships have broken because of lithium deficiency? But you know, this is very valuable information about health, public health, and this is kept secret. So, and here in Germany, we have a small organization, how you call it, an NGO, and we produce for our members such products. But we don't go public with that because they are illegal. So, and we now get the feedback how the quality of life increases having those nutrients which really work. But officially, in public, it's prohibited. And I get aware of that about 10 years ago, and I was quite astonished. Why? Why the hell is it illegal that our people are healthy? Why are healthy nutrients prohibited here in Germany? So this is a very serious study, yeah. So this is a combination of 9 years, yeah. So if you look on homicide rates, yes, high lithium, low lithium, 1978, 5.8 compared to 19.3, 79, 5.5 compared to 17.9, 1980, 10.6 to 18.8. So the number seems very reliable, very serious. For me, it's a very serious study. And so our scientific community just gives a shit about that. It's just prohibited. So, and then you ask yourself, why? Why do they do that? What is their plan? Do they have an agenda? And you know, here in Germany, Alzheimer disease or depression is very serious. Many people here in Germany suffer under depression. And they all need lithium in small amounts in their food. But lithium is also used as a pharmaceutical in very high dosages. So what has therapeutic benefits at large concentration has protective benefits at low concentration, at low dosages. And so the way how they put the fertilizer on our fields, yes, how the farmers put fertilizer on the field, they actually need to put in lithium because it's very soluble. It's when you have it on the field in the earth, it's away after a few years, a couple of years, because it's very good soluble. It's very high soluble, has a high solubility. So you have to feed it year after year on your fields as a farmer, but they don't do that because it's prohibited. It's illegal to put those nutrients, which we actually need, on the field. So it's prohibited to supplement it, and it's prohibited that the farmer put it on the fields. And so we just have food which lacks lithium. But it would be extremely beneficial, i.e. for depression. So they estimate that there are about 5 million Germans suffer on depression. From 18 million, 5 million Germans suffer under depression. And when you understand that and ask the question, why is lithium prohibited? You do not come to reasonable answer. You have to have the idea, maybe there's an agenda. Many women have a problem with the stability of their bones. Yeah, so the density of the bone is quite low, and the risk to break your bones is quite high. So in Germany, I think 50% of all elderly women older than 70 are diagnosed with osteoporosis. Yes, and so this is normally the career of osteoporosis. They start as beautiful models and go down into their grave like that. It was about the story of my mother. Yes. And now you have a study that you supplement patients diagnosed with osteoporosis. You supplement strontium. Strontium, it's the chemical symbol is Sr. So you supplement strontium and look what's the risk that those patients break their bones. Yeah. And then you see it's about in the scope of 3 years. So if you supplement strontium, the probability to break your bones goes down to about 50%. Just strontium. And there are studies showing that you need strontium to open a bit the pores of your bones, that the calcium can again enter into bones with a low density. So it's very easy for patients diagnosed with osteoporosis to get the risk of severe damages of the bone half-sized. So it's easy, but also strontium is prohibited to supplement. Yes? And this is a very strange story. Okay, so this is about the problem with cancer. So many people die at cancer. And there's an interesting study published in the 90s here in Germany. It was about the effect of selenium supplementation for cancer and the prevention in patients with carcinoma of the skin, so the Black Death. And the study design was you have 1,312 patients, and they had all this basal cell or sarcomere cells. So they had this skin cancer. And they were treated for 4.5 years with selenium. The result was that according to skin cancer, there was not so much difference. But you know, skin cancer is only the cause about lower than 2% of death by cancer. So 98% the cancer patients die on other cancers than skin cancer. And here was shown that when selenium was supplemented, the rate of cancer get down to 50%. So here in Germany, in Europe, there were studies available also in the 60s that the supplementation of selenium enhances the performance of your immune system, of your immune cells, and diminish the rate of cancer. Anyhow, it was forbidden. It was forbidden to supplement it. Only because of this study, it was legalized. It ended that it was forbidden. So after this study, it was legal that you supplement selenium. So in the first place, they prohibit anything, any nutrient. And you need such a study that, oh, we made a mistake. Okay, it's now okay that you supplement it. And you know, millions here in Germany die on that because an error of scientists. And nobody talks about that. They're just dying on a deficiency of extremely important nutrients. And nobody talks about that. And I think at a special point in time, you ask, what's going on? Do they have an agenda? How old is this agenda? Why do the normal people accept that? Why do the normal people accept that they have to stay away from extremely important nutrients?
Why is that?
Why is that? This is a good question. So I'm actually here to present facts and data to you. And you have to think yourself. I do not think for you, you have to think yourself. Yeah? I just give you the information you need to think yourself about nutrients. Because to dig all those information out from literature, it takes some time. Normal people don't have so much time to dig in those studies and extract the right information out of that. One question, if you take salt, do you take little salt or much salt? Little? Really?
Oh, now you're supposed to have salt, though.
Oh, so you're
Himalayan pink salt, right?
Okay, so you're very, how you call it? You have good luck to listen now. Yes? So there was in CNN some years ago, in 2011, who low salt diet ups risk of fatal heart attack. Or Time magazine, low salt diet reduces heart disease risk, right? A study disagrees. So this study shows, or this is the interpretation, those with the highest level of sodium in their urine were more than 4 times less likely to die from heart disease than those with the lowest intake of sodium. This is an extremely important study. Yes. You know, there are so much statements, don't be so, how you call it, generous by taking salt. Yeah. Just reduce the salt amount in your food. There are many recommendations about that. But the data show absolutely the opposite. I just show you the data of what was done. It was a study performed here in Belgium, in Europe, about 6 years. And what was measured, though, those participants in the study have to collect their urine every day. So all your urine, your 24 hours urine was collected for 6 years. Yes? So if you imagine, a vast amount of urine was collected, a really vast amount. Yeah? So don't smell on it. Don't think that you smell. So, and what was done, it was analyzed how much sodium was in this urine. And the amount of sodium in your urine correlates to the amount of sodium of your sodium or salt intake. Because salt is 1 part sodium, 1 part chlorine. And they tested and analyzed the sodium content. And in the study, more or less 3,600 people participated. And they differentiated in 3 groups. One with low sodium in the urine, about 5.6 gram. A medium group, also 1,250 people. And a high sodium group, about not exactly 1,211, with about 13.5 grams sodium in their urine. And they tested, they asked, when do they die? How many people died in each group in the scope of this 6 years? And the interesting thing is the mortality, all causes, in the low sodium, in the low salt group, 118 people died in the scope of this study. In the high sodium group, only 37 people died. So it's about 3 times more. So if you live with a low sodium, low salt diet, the chances that you die is quite high. Yeah? And they die at cardiovascular causes. In the low sodium, in the low salt group, you have 50 died. In the high sodium group, in the high salt group, only 10. So these are tough data. Yeah, it's not a hearsay. It's not just a statement. So this is a very serious study, a very serious study. And in the medium sodium group, here 64 died and 24 on cardiovascular causes. Here's the numbers about heart attack or stroke. In the low salt group, 45. In the high sodium group, 19. At stroke, and say may died or survived. So all incidences of heart attack or stroke. Stroke 13 compared to 7. So, you know, this is a really serious study because they really measured the amount of sodium which is in your urine, and that corresponds to the sodium you take in orally. So it's very healthy to get a lot of salt, good quality salt, like this pink Himalaya salt. So if any medical doctor recommends to reduce the amount of salt in your diet, he actually gives you a recommendation to suicide, for suicide. So this is strong data. So this is the JAMA network. JAMA 2011, you see the numbers, fatal or non-fatal outcomes, incidence of hypertension and blood pressure, changes in relation to urinary sodium excretion. So if you now have the information that you need salt, so you had a gift for several years of your lifetime from me, is it? Okay, so this is valuable information I give in my seminars. And I think it's important that I get this information also transported to you on the other side of the pond. Yeah. And I think that's for today. So it's just an introduction to this health information. I think it's important that this is spread all over the world to our brothers and sisters in the United States.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all for today. And if you guys can do anything to enhance the numbers a little bit in our Zoom conference, I think it's important because I'm quite sure that these dark months will really happen now. And you have to optimize your level of health in order to survive. Okay?
Okay.
I think that's all for today. Thanks for being here. See you
so
tomorrow,
much.
same time, same place.
Thank you, Andreas. Now I have to relearn how to eat because I'm so used to not eating salt.
No, eat sodium. And tomorrow I explain you what happens when you start to eat more sodium. Yeah, more salt.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Amen.